All right, here's George Kittle.
Finally.
Y'all need to stop with this idea that the Niners' schedule is easy. This is from Richard Sherman's podcast.
It's like the Niners have the easiest strength of schedule this year. It's like, it's the NFL. It's hard regardless. Like, sure, yeah, we're not going up against the number ones from every single conference or division, but still, it's an NFL game. Like, you still have to go out there and perform at an incredibly high level because every team is doing that same shit. So it's just like, what are you talking about easiest schedule? Like, relax. I still have to go out there and play for 60 minutes and find a way to get a dub.
And find a way to get a
find a way.
A motivated and hungry team.
Exactly. Especially all the teams that are at the bottom of the division, no one likes to lose.
No.
Usually the teams that didn't play well last year are usually the most hungry to go out there and do it again anyway. So you're getting the most hungry damn teams every single year.
Okay. Buy or sell? George?
Sell.
Why?
Because by the nature of comparative everything, one schedule is going to be easier or harder than another schedule, just based on the teams that you play and how those teams end up performing. And so it's okay for people to say you have an easy schedule. He's just trying to avoid the embarrassment of a letdown. And, George, you're going to lose some games this year. You're not going to go 17-0, no one ever has, and then gone on to win the Super Bowl. I don't even think New England did. They went 16-0 when they went undefeated and then didn't win the Super Bowl. So you're going to lose some games. And the look-ahead lines have the Niners favored in 15 of the 17. And I would bet that they don't go 15-2. They probably aren't going to win all 15 games in which they're favored. So it's okay to look at a schedule and say that it's easy. And he's right, though. Like, these are all professional football players, and nobody's going to go out there. And if you're Carolina, you're not thinking, God, we're not going to win this game. I mean, we're expected to go 0-17, so we might as well do that. So I get that part of it. But, George, your schedule's easy.
Well, okay, I agree with you. But I also agree with him because I think everybody's looking at it from a different way. George is like, I don't like the word easy because I'm actually out there doing this, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to beat the Panthers. You'll do it because you're better. You'll probably do it. But it doesn't feel easy. I get why that would bother me too. If I were out there and my knees hurt after every week and I had to go through treatment and I had to get acupuncture and I had to have people come over to my house just to like give me a massage so that I could get out of bed, like all the things that these NFL players do, like bleep you for calling this easy. I get that. But where you're coming from and where we're all coming from, we're not wrong. We're not wrong. And so maybe that's the wrong word for it because I don't think NFL games are easy. Like they will be in Seattle on September 7th. That's not easy. That's not going to be easy at all. What happens the next week when they go to New Orleans? We'll call it easy. I don't even know
it's
what
the Big Easy.
Well, I don't even.
It's literally the Big Easy.
It is, but it's also a team that we really don't know a whole hell of a lot about. We don't even know who their starting quarterback is, and that's why we think it's going to be easy. I'll just look at it more from I'm not going to collectively call the whole thing easy. I am going to continue to look at this schedule the same way I have all off season. And I will state that most of the best players in the NFL aren't on it. That's what I'm getting at. If you were to forget fantasy football, put together an NFL draft of actual players who are in the NFL right now, you know what I mean? And in your top 100, how many of them are on the Niners schedule? And I know there'd be defensive players and stuff, so like Myles Garrett would be picked, and I get all of that. But you understand what I'm saying? The top picks, if you were to do that, are going to be Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And then even if you wanted to get into receivers like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, and we can on and on. We can go through all this, and none of them play the 49ers. Jaden Daniels, they don't play the 49ers. So George has a point that I don't think football players will take kindly to the word easy. He also needs to acknowledge what we're saying, which is the scariest players in the NFL are not on your schedule. The scariest coaches in the NFL are not on your schedule. They're not. And so you're right. There's no question that this is It's a road that is how do you want to say it without using the word easy? It's a road that does not have as many roadblocks as it has in the past.
Exactly. Not only in opponents, but in the way the schedule is laid out as well. So not only do you have opponents that are not necessarily great, and you talked about, the top 100 players, and, the NFL Network is still rolling out their top 100 players, and how many of those players are you actually going to face this year? Probably not a ton of them, but the way the schedule has laid out, without difficult back-to-backs, without rest disadvantage that you had last year, without facing a bunch of teams coming off a bye, all those little things go into what I'm talking about when I call the schedule easy. And George is right. You're looking at 17 games over 18 weeks of physical professional football, and George is 31 now, and he's going to be facing guys who are maybe at some point 10 years younger than him, and it's not easy playing football and getting up and you're so sore, and then you're sore the next day, and then you get to Wednesday, it's like, okay, you got to get back and start this whole thing up again. You got to do that 17 different times. There's nothing easy about what they do physically, but when you look at it in a vacuum and you look at it from the outside looking in, and you see opponents that only won 40% of their games last year and aren't expected to be much better this year, schedule's easy, George. Right. Get over it.
Okay, so what if he were to respond to you and go, by the way, do you understand that we are one of those teams?
Right.
We only won 40% of our games last year.
Exactly.
Actually less than.
Yeah, 6 out of 17. Damn near 33%.
Right.
But you're better than that.
Okay,
and you know it.
So there's where I think
you're better than that. And Carolina's not.
I agree with you.
New Orleans is not. And Jacksonville's not. And the Giants are not. And Cleveland is not.
Am I not looking at a man who 1,000 times in the last 4 years has said to me, you are what your record says you are?
Right. The Niners were 6-11.
Then they are the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, they're not. They're not. And
okay.
Jacksonville was 5-12, and Cleveland won 3, and the Giants won 3, and New Orleans won 5, and
you won 6.
Right. And yeah, you won 6. And I look at this year and what you have, and you are what your record says you are. I get that, and I'm not going to shy away from that. And it's a little different in the NFL because, you get to Week 18, and the Niners punted that game, so fine, whatever. You lost it. It counts. It's on your permanent record. But, the Niners, 6-11 last year, very easily could have been a 9-8, and might have been a 10-7. It wasn't.
But maybe a lot of these teams would say the same thing. Like right now, we look at the AFC South, and the Niners are lined up with the AFC South, and we go, well, that's just a whole bunch of easy.
Right.
That's one of those teams won 10 games last year. The Colts won 8 games last year, more than the Niners.
They play each other. Like, that's got to count for something.
Yes.
So you do get to play each other. So
I'm with you.
I know you are.
I'm just pointing out that that's the kind of context that a lot of people don't bring to the party. They don't. And in these conversations, I'm so glad you're saying this. This is a landmark day. I'd like to refer back to this conversation the next time you black and white me. The next time you do, you are what your record says you are.
You are.
But you're also not. If you want to bring context to the conversation, if you want to bring some perspective and some nuance and some opinion and just some depth is all I'm saying. Of course, if you're 6-11, then the data moves on in life that you're 6-11, and that's the draft pick you get, and that's the schedule you get, and all of those things. But isn't it fascinating that we look at all these other teams who last year won 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 games, and we go, well, Niners can beat them, and the Niners are one of them, unless we bring context to the conversation. And by the way, also be open to the fact that our context might be wrong. I know we want to bring context in. We don't believe that was the real Niners, but maybe it was. We won't know until this year.
We won't. And it sounds like you're listening to Steiny and Evan a little too much, because that's where...
Well, that's the only show that was on while I was driving to work today.
Yeah, and that's where Evan was landing, like 9 to 10 wins is kind of what he sees them landing at. I think that they'll be
I think they're
better
north
than
of that.
that.
Yeah, so do I.
Agreed. And a lot of it comes down to health. We know that. But when you look across the league at who they're going to face, I don't see many of these teams who are going to be markedly better than what they were last year. And yes, the Niners were 6-11, and you are what your record says that you are. But I look at the Niner team and how they went 6-11, and there is context to it. It doesn't mean that I automatically think, they're going to win 12 this year just because the schedule's easy and they're better than they were last year. But I do think that the teams they're going to face, I don't see how many of them are markedly better than they were last year.
I want to play this for everybody again from the Richard Sherman podcast. George Kittle firing back on the idea that the Niners have an easy schedule.
That's what's crazy. It's like the Niners have the easiest strength of schedule this year. It's like, it's the NFL. It's hard regardless. Like, sure, we're not going up against the number ones from every single conference or division, but still, it's an NFL game. Like, you still have to go out there and perform at an incredibly high level because every team is doing that same shit. So it's just like, what are you talking about easiest schedule? Like, relax. I still have to go out there and play for 60 minutes and find a way to get a dub.
And find a way to get a
find
dub
a way.
against a motivated and hungry team.
Exactly. Especially all the teams that are at the bottom of the division, no one likes to lose.
No.
Usually the teams that didn't play well last year are usually the most hungry to go out there and do it again anyway. So you're getting the most hungry damn teams every single year.
Look, if I were the 49ers, I'd use George Kittle right now as the guide, as the captain of the ship. They should push back on this. This is actually the dangerous part of the offseason. I don't think it'll work. I think that we're all going to continue to say the exact same thing that we've been saying. I think we will continue to use it as a security blanket to our mentals. We all think, even if the 49ers aren't at their best, even if some of the things that they're trying this year don't work, it'll still be pretty good just because of that schedule. It's kind of a fallback opinion for a lot of us. And if I'm the Niners, I'm gonna push against this idea that it's a, quote, easy schedule, because where's the win then? Where's the win for the 49ers? If you play poorly and lose these games, my God, you lost against those teams. But if you win, well, that's all you did was beat those teams. I mean, I still hear people do that to the Jimmy Butler Warriors. People will say, oh, God, the Jimmy Butler didn't actually change the Warriors that much. They just had an easy schedule at the particular time that he came in. You'll hear stuff like that. So the danger on this schedule conversation is that I don't know what it is the 49ers can do to actually impress people this year until they get to the playoffs.
That's right. Well, they can impress people by winning the games they're supposed to win. And I actually tweeted out something about the Jimmy Butler data. I did not a deep dive, it was a medium dive. Right. I looked at the record that the team had when they got Jimmy and then the record against playoff teams, and it's almost identical. Like, the teams that they played with Jimmy that made the playoffs, they won 71% of those games, and they won like 75% overall with Jimmy. So
they were really good.
But it wasn't that they feasted on just the bad teams. And I wanted to take a look at that because that's been something that was bugging me. I wanted to have it be proven out in a small sample. Like, did they really feast on bad teams? No, they beat just about everybody. I think they went 24-8 after they got him.
It was something like that. Yep. And I'm glad you did that, because I'll tell you this right now, and this won't surprise anybody, but I if the 49ers win most of these games, let's say they went 12-5.
Yep.
I'll be impressed. That's where I agree with George. Like, I disagree with George. It is kind of an easier schedule, and it's not even just the opponents. It's the travel. It's the rest advantage. Yep. We know all these things. It's better this year. This is a better schedule. But where I'll agree with George is if they do really well with that schedule, I will be impressed, because I don't care who you beat in the NFL. I think the definition of a good team is a team that beats the teams that aren't as good as it is. That's the definition of a good team. But I can also feel that the Niners could go 12-5, and we'll get to the end of the year, and there will be plenty of people to be like, who the hell couldn't go 12-5 against that schedule?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, but I do think that just the football aspect of it needs to be paid attention to, because George is right about that part of it. Like, football is hard, and one thing that I was reading in the Warren Sharp piece earlier that he posted on Twitter at Sharp Football, and he was talking about missed field goals, fumble recoveries, and deflected passes as some of the wild variables in a football game. You can be better than the team you're playing on a Sunday, and it could be a fumble that you just don't happen to recover, or a tip pass that gets intercepted, or a field goal that you doink off the upright. All these little micro plays that turn out to be huge in a football game.
They're huge.
You can outgain your opponent by 250 yards and win the time of possession battle and all the rest of it, but you don't recover a fumble, you have one tip pass, and you doink a field goal, and you lose 21-20. And that's an L.
Right.
And that's just the way that goes.
Well, and the Niners had a bunch of that last year.
Yeah.
You know, our favorite one was when they went to L.A. to take on the Rams. And I've always described that in the fourth quarter as the most unbelievable parlay of crap that you could ever imagine. That, by the way, let me add, just because we love to talk about him the most, none of it was Brock's fault. Literally none of it. Go through all the things that went wrong at the end of that Rams game and tell me which one was Brock's fault. Was it all the DBs that kept committing pass interferences?
Yeah.
Was it Jake Moody missing field goals?
The punt coverage?
The punt coverage? Was it Ronnie Bell dropping balls that were between his numbers? Which part was on Brock Purdy when he, quote, lost that game? Which part?
Yeah. No, none of it.
So that's what happens. And then we go, oh, you went 6-11 and you can't play well when you don't have good players around you. He played phenomenally in that game. And Juwan Jennings was a beast in that game. But a bunch of players lined up, screwed up, and they lost the game. And none of those players were Brock or Juwan.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And, you know, the Arizona game and the Seattle game, and, you know, we can pick nits all we want. Thankfully, we have a new season coming up, so 6-11 goes in the rearview mirror. Just checking my tweet, it was 23-8 after they got Jimmy, and 10-4 against playoff teams. And that's not counting the play-in game where they actually beat a team that was also very good in Memphis.
Right.
But
right.
So
and then
they were 13-4 against the bad teams, 10-4 against the good teams.
And I still, again, everybody gets to look at this however they want. I know that the last thought that I take to bed when I think about the Warriors and the way their season ended, I know that it was a difficult series, but they won it. They won the series against the Houston Rockets, and then on the road they grabbed a 1-0 lead against the Minnesota Timberwolves in round 2. And then Steph left, and they never won another game.
That's right.
But the team that we actually talk about and watch for the majority of the year that includes Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, they were very good, and that is the situation in which they sat until Steph left. And that's pretty good.
Very good.
That's a pretty good situation to be in.
Yeah, and you could draw the parallel to the Niners when they lost Brock with a 7-0 lead at Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game.
No doubt.